May I first of all thank you for the very special honor of allowing me to inspect your parade this afternoon. I confess that I enjoy these occasions, and I was thinking this afternoon that maybe we should do some more training so I can come to more parades. But to echo what the minister said and others have said before, it is a masterful parade, absolute precision. And I too want to join in commending you for the Independence Parade. I have been attending Independence Parades for many years, and I can tell you Sundays was really well, not Sunday, Monday was really one of the very best that I've attended. You did a masterful job, and I want to thank you and all the ranks who participated in the parade. It must have been that you inspired all other ranks to do just as well as you did. So thank you very much. Well, congratulations to each and every one of you. You have made it. And I know many of you very well, personally or from a distance, and I'm really very proud of your achievement, and delighted that this experiment of transforming you into full police officers has worked exceedingly well. It may well be a future model for training. So after 6 months of training, you are now ready to join the ranks of what is undoubtedly one of the oldest professional organizations in St. Lucia. In fact, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is merely 5 years or so younger than the first police force in the world, the London Metropolitan Police. Your cohort of 42 is even larger than the entire police force of St. Lucia when it was formed in 1834. And so you have joined a force that has grown in size, professionalism, and organizational complexity. This police force is an organization of incredible traditions and powerful legacy. And you might wish to concur, and again I return to that issue, that the massive crowd turnout for the Independence Parade on Monday this week was a good indicator of the popularity of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, and especially its police band. Despite everything else, I just want to say to you that I really believe that the people of St. Lucia want you to do well and want you to succeed. They want to take pride in what you do. And last Monday, you gave them a wonderful opportunity to do so. The Royal St. Lucia Police Band, the rhythm and beat of the organization, will be setting a major milestone next year. 70 years of existence. I'm congratulating you in advance. It has become a national institution of its own right and is undoubtedly one of the best in the region and possibly the world. You have joined this force at an exciting time. Upholding the law is a great and noble undertaking. Your country thanks you for your decision to pursue a career, a calling, a journey as officers of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. But as with all police or agencies, the core of your organization is not equipment. It is not vehicles. It is not police buildings or firepower. No, you are the core of this organization. You are called today to continue and build upon a legacy devoted to law and order. And in as much as you are in a disciplined force, it means that discipline must remain etched in your minds, must be a constant in all that you plan and do to execute your functions and duties. much is demanded of you. You will be called upon to be role models for young people. You will be called to demonstrate the values which our society recognizes and subscribe to. You will be called to defend and protect the person, honor, and integrity of our citizens. Your image is therefore priceless and cannot be taken for granted. You have learned and practiced over the past 6 months to become more rigid, to become more ordered, to obey, to be punctual, to be courteous, to be strong and scrupulous, to become knowledgeable of the law. While I am aware that you were former special constables, you have in this round of training been put through the fire to harden you for the real world, which is unpredictable, full of surprises, full of challenges, full of intrigue, full of deceit and deception. Amidst it all, I promise you that you will find some touching human experience that will rekindle your faith in our collective humanity. When this happens, you will have all the justification that you need to explain your decision to be a police officer. Maybe someone that you save. It may be someone that you take to the hospital. It may be someone that you discourage from participating in some carnage. But trust me, when you reach out and touch that person and make a difference, you will understand why the career you have chosen is so vital, so important, not just for collective safety, but also for the humanity that we all share. I accept it is not an easy road to walk. There will be conflicts, and there will be dilemmas. And one perhaps you don't like to discuss at all, but I want to tease you. What do you do when your friends and family break the law? What will you do? On whose side will you be? The Constitution and the law you swore to uphold, or its repudiation by those whom you know so well? These are issues that you must resolve in your mind because it goes to the heart of your integrity. It's a small island. And when you execute your duties and functions, you almost know whom you're going to touch, who you're going to affect. It's like us in government. Whenever we make decisions that are hard, difficult, and painful, hard for our people to accept, hard for our people to understand, hard for our people to appreciate, we know exactly whom those decisions are going to touch. And sometimes in this life, we must wait for the final outcomes to determine the value of those decisions. While your calling commands you to be disciplined in all that you do, yet you will be required to be conscientious and compassionate. You must now marry your understanding of law with reason. By this I mean you will find many instances when you will be put on the spot and you will have to debate whether to go with the letter of the law or the spirit of the law. Many situations will call for you to develop skills of mediation, skills to help people solve their problems by offering guidance, sometimes on matters that have no immediate relevance to law enforcement. How many of you will one day end up in a home because you have been called to make a judgment on a marital dispute or a dispute between partners at a home, and at that critical moment, your words can make the difference between life and death. How many of you are prepared for those occasions? And what choice will you exercise? The hard choice of law or the choice of the compassionate leader that can soothe, that can calm, that can bring reason? And believe you me, you will be inundated with these matters. These are the occasions when your leadership skills will be tested. Sometime last year, on August the 2nd, I believe, I had the opportunity to address a ceremony heralding the promotion of several police officers. I spoke on the importance of leadership. And I made the point that enforcing the law does not always require the use of brute force. Rather, you have to make the transition to intelligence-based policing. And I will also share with you some advice I offered on that occasion. First, remember, your greatest strength, your greatest weapon must be your mind, not your arm. And secondly, your greatest defense must be the public trust on the beat, not your shield and station. Essentially, as the acting commissioner said to you, you should always think critically before acting. And so as a police officer, you really must be quick thinking because you will have to make split-second decisions. And of course, I know much of this has to come through conditioning your mind as to how to handle a variety of situations, a variety of scenarios that you'll be faced with. Your instructors would have tried to give you as much experience as they could within your training period to prepare you for the real world. Leaders of tomorrow must be able to think critically, communicate effectively, collaborate and be creative in solving problems. Undoubtedly, you will have many experiences that will cause you unfathomable stress. Stress is a serious problem. It is debilitating. It disempowers the strong and destroys the weak. It predisposes you to disease and ill health. Undoubtedly, you have to train and discipline yourselves to manage stress because you must never let stress get the better of you. Indeed, one of my deep concerns has always been the level of stress that members of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force suffer from time to time. And the time may have well come for the government of St. Lucia to establish a special stress unit within the force to help you to cope with the inevitable adjustments. However, you should never dull your senses with excesses or run away from your duties because of stress. The key is how you manage it when it comes your way. I want you to also appreciate that stressful situations are a part of your development. This sounds almost contradictory, but it is not. What I want to tell you is that if you master the art of coping with stress, then you will become empowered. You may have heard the story of lobsters and how they grow. Some of you may have not, so I will describe it anyway. Of course, you must be wondering, what is the connection between lobsters and stress? Lobsters are soft animals that live inside of rigid shells. The shell does not expand with the lobster. As the lobster grows, the shell becomes very confined and uncomfortable. the lobster feels itself under pressure and uncomfortable. It's in a tight spot. It goes and hides, then sheds off its shell and grows a new one. When that shell becomes too tight, it goes again and sheds that shell and grows another. And it repeats this process over and over. Stress is a signal for growth for the lobster. The moral of the story is that times of stress should signal the time for growth. Stress is a necessary part of self-improvement. I'm sure you have heard the adage, no pain, no gain. As I've told you earlier, you have joined this force at an exciting time. The stresses that may affect you individually, as well as those impacting the organization as a whole, must be channeled as pathways for growth. And indeed, one of those stresses is simply dealing with the issue of public trust and confidence. You can't approach the public with an us and them attitude, even while the society will approach you in that light. You will even find that there will be members of the public who may be vitriolic from the onset towards the police force and towards you as a result. Once you appear in uniform, many people in your community, even your friends, will begin making a number of assumptions about you. And these kinds of assumptions are deep-seated in most cultures. If we see one police officer doing wrong, we often generalize everyone else with the same unrefined paintbrush. This is the sad reality of what you must face. You therefore need to ensure by your actions that you are proving all the positive assumptions right and proving all the negative assumptions wrong. It means, therefore, that any shame brought against you by another in the name of the force must concern you. It cannot be merely swept under the carpet. In recent times, a number of police officers have been charged for committing criminal offenses. I do not have to tell you how distressing it is for me to learn of another police officer who is hauled before the courts to answer for alleged offenses, criminal or otherwise. True, it reflects a welcome determination by the leadership of the police force to deal with those who bring dishonor and disrepute to the force. On the other hand, it does reflect weaknesses in our recruiting policies. Sometimes the wrong people become police officers. How else can we explain the recruitment of persons who have falsified their academic records? Citizens will never have confidence in the police force if its members are also engaged in criminal activities. And so you have a duty of care not only to the public but to your fellow officers and the entire Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And remember, you are serving in the public interest. Your powers are given to you by the state for the public good. But that is not to say you should ever be part of covering up ill deeds. That does not gain us any trust, particularly with the public, who have become cynical and suspicious. But let us face it, you are expected to be different because your career as a police officer demands it. You are an elite agency. By virtue of you being a police officer, you are already a leader in the community. And so there will be those who are jealous of you by virtue of your position or rank or authority. They will not be jealous of you, however, knowing that you will be running into the face of danger. You will be placing your own life at risk. You will be called out whenever an emergency arises. The society we live in often looks for passing the buck. The problem seems always to lie with someone else. It's always the politician's fault or the fault of the police, never the fault of the offender or those who are responsible for the upbringing of the offender. It's always someone else. Let the buck stop with you. Be ready to be responsible for your actions. You are called to be the solution. This is what women and men of courage show. Today, St. Lucia will be looking at you as a future of law enforcement. The society will have expectations of you. I too have great expectations of this class 34. I feel it. I like your camaraderie. I like your spirit. I like the way you relate to each other. I expect that you would dispense with the old bad habits, protect and conserve the worthy culture and traditions of the force, while bringing youthful energy and exuberance with the force. So, go out and change the force. Go out and change St. Lucia. Go out and change the world for the better. And remember what you are taught. Take nothing for granted.